that happen every time? Would they have kicked a field goal and gone for overtime, or would he have not slipped and made it? But still, doesn't matter. It happened. So I think it'd be a coin toss. I think it's 50-50. So, yeah, I think it's that close. The AFC, man, the Titans are right there. Now, I'm not going to be, and I've heard some people already say that it's just a shoe-in to the AFC South.
Yeah, that
I'm not,
makes me a little nervous.
yeah, I'm not so sure. And as a former player, everything is not for sure. That's how a team like the Jets can beat the Titans. It depends on who's healthy, who's not. If you get off to a good start, are there turnover? There's so many factors, and you can say, "Oh yeah, well I went and looked at the schedule of the Titans and the AFC and the Colts, and the Colts play, I think, one more, if I can recall, one more AFC game left than the Titans. But if they beat the Titans head to head, man, that game is huge. From the Indianapolis point of view, I'm already moving forward. This is a playoff game when they play the Titans in Indy. This is that serious of a game. So it's going to
Well,
be a bummer. And yeah, here it is right here. I have the Colts play the Titans, Jets, Jags, Bills.
mhm.
Tough schedule. Bucks, Texans, Pats, Cardinals, Raiders, and Jags. And I got them only, losing to the Bucks and the Cardinals and maybe coin toss Raiders. They could win all of the rest of those games.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you can say that the AFC, based off of today,
Mhm.
no injuries and how the teams look today. I'm like, man, they're still going to go down to the end. In my mind, they play the Dolphins, the Texans twice, the Jags. I got them losing to the Steelers. They could possibly beat the Steelers. No, that's the Titans. They could possibly beat the Raiders. So, yeah, I think it's they're 3-4 and we're 5-2. They could possibly finish right there at 10-7. And if they beat the Titans head to head, that could be the difference maker this game this week to determine. Then after this game, if the Titans beat them, then I'm feeling a little more comfortable about the AFC South. But nothing's a given in the National Football League, as we've seen. The Jets weren't a given, were they? Nope. So let's not speak too soon, especially from a former player's point of view. I can't believe somebody could actually say stuff. I mean, that's just we all know this game is a tough game, and you know, fortunate enough for the Titans, the front four played great.
Yeah.
And you had some guys who a lot of people didn't even know just a couple weeks ago. They weren't even on the roster, and they held the fort. But when that front four gets to rocking, which they did in this game, woo, it's a beautiful thing to watch. What was it, 4 sacks, 5 sacks?
4 sacks in the
4?
game, but just relentless pressure. There were a couple
All
times
day.
where Mahomes is just a giant oak tree of a person. I know people just see this lanky, athletic-looking guy. Oh, no, go stand next to that guy. It's a solid human being. There were a couple times dudes were riding him, and one time he took his left hand and threw it like 20 yards out of bounds. Another time he was getting hit and pulled down, and he took his right hand and just kind of shuffled it forward. If he'd thrown it a little further, it would have gotten picked six. But there were 2 sacks that he just pulled something out of his hat and got rid of the ball before he hit the ground, or there would have been 6.
Yeah, even the one that he got concussed, I think he got rid of that ball.
He
too.
got rid of the ball.
That was wow, man. This guy's incredible. But Archery, Simmons, Dupree, and Landry, they were hunting, man. So and I don't want to bust anybody's bubble. Great win against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are in trouble. They are not the Chiefs of the last 2 or 3 years. Their offensive line, to me, is built to run the football,
And
and they got them back there pass protecting. They're not they're not that. That is for sure. Because I would say the Titans' defensive line is really good, but not on the elite level,
mhm.
and they looked elite versus the Chiefs. So I just really digging into a little bit. I'm not sure that the Chiefs are even going to make the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is because of the offensive line. One thing I've learned sitting in this chair is the offensive line, and people are going to call in, is the most important positions on your team.
Mm.
Yeah. Over quarterback. And I say that because you have no quarterback if you can't protect him. Yeah. And they can't protect him. You see what Mahomes look like.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if Mahomes he may be scarred and forcing the issue and a lot of things are going on. They can't run the football and everything like that. I don't know if he has I didn't see it, but man, I saw one time he didn't even put his front foot down to throw the ball, and it was a clean pocket.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if some of those old injuries just aren't healthy right now. Because he doesn't look right, and it could be in his head, but there's a lot of things that technically wise that he doesn't, because he's probably the most gifted quarterback in the National Football League with all the things he can do.
Mhm.
Man, he didn't look good. He looked a little skittish out there, inconsistent at times. So he even missed some throws. But you got to hats off to the Titans. They did a heck of a job, heck of a win against high-powered offense. It just shows if you build your team to pass rush and get after the quarterback, because it's a throwing league now, you got a shot in every game. You don't have to have big name guys. You don't have to have a big name tight end on offense to drive down, as you mentioned yesterday on Titans Radio, 5 first possessions right down their throats.
Yeah.
Nobody's hollering, "No, where was the tight end?" No. See, you don't need so. And then their defense, the Chiefs' defense, they
are who we thought they were.
Well, they did well against the run. I actually thought they did winning football versus the run. What he had 28, 29 carries for only 86 yards with the King. So they did that part, but then now they're matched up one-on-one, and A.J. Brown came to play. He showed he's the real deal. And then in this offense, I actually think he's a more productive, a better player in this style of offense than Julio Jones right now. He just fits the offense. He makes that engine run, and it's because him and Tannehill have a connection, and they understand where each other. I was looking at the one deep ball that they challenged, a great challenge by Vrabel. Staff did a great job, offense, defense, special teams. Might be the best game I've ever seen the Titans play. Really, under Vrabel for sure. It's got to be up there at the top. But Tannehill threw that ball literally I think A.J. Brown, when I went back and watched, I think he was only 7 yards down the field when he let it go. It was uncanny, and it went 40 yards. So he's throwing to a spot.
Yeah.
That's come from understanding your player you're working with and where you need to put the ball. And he got hit after he released it too. But there was no pressure when he let it go. But it got there right when that was fantastic. Those are the ones Mickey, when you have all your dreams and everything that you dreamed that you made the throw. Well, they're doing it live in action. So it was phenomenally just a great overall game, special team wise. Kern's back. Kinsey did a good job. I know a lot of people saying catch the ball. Guess what? If you have any doubt in your mind as a punt returner, being a guy that I did it, not at the pro level,
right? But
if you have any doubt in your mind, get away from it.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah, it bounced to the 2. But guess what? They just ran right up out of that thing. Easy. So there's no big deal. You live and learn, Yeah. He threw. It was a crazy kind of punt too. Anyway, people must understand it's hard to judge those ones when they do. I forgot what they call them, but I call them quacky balls, where the spiral is not the same. It's not normal. So he's holding the ball.
It's more like a rugby punt.
Yes. Yeah. And so he couldn't judge it on point, even though he had nobody around him. So I thought it was a good decision still. If you have any doubt, get away. Get away. He's a short-handed guy, but you never know how those balls move like that. It's kind of wobbling in the air in a different way, and you go, uh-oh, this doesn't feel good. So, man, you got to be excited, though, right now. Titans got to feel really good, Titans fans. Man, two big wins. And what'd you say, 6 days?
6 days.
Wow.
Think about this. Neither one of those games have been played as of us talking right now a week ago. They still hadn't played that Monday. I mean, it's Monday now. It's 1-11.
That's a huge argument. They're the best team in the AFC. Who else is up there? Where are they ranked now?
They're third. They're the third seed right now in the AFC behind the Bengals. And the Bengals and the Raiders are 1 and 2. The Titans are number 3. And there's a whole lot of formulation that goes into all that. There's math equations and head-to-head this and that. But anyway, they're still the third seed. But everybody's got 2 losses or more in the AFC right now, which is why fans are still kicking themselves. They lost to the Jets. They'd unequivocally be the number 1 seed right now in the AFC had they not lost to the Jets.
If, coulda, woulda, what is
woulda, coulda, shoulda.
What does our man Coach Mack say?
Ifs and buts, candy and nuts.
On that given day, they were the better team. That's why you can't say that it's a guarantee. You just can't do it. And I think that's more my player mindset and not fandom, is because I know it can happen. I've been on teams. We've lost to some teams I know we should have beat. We were a better team than them. But on that day, they beat us. Oh, we have turnovers. We started slow, couldn't catch back up.
Yeah.
It just, those things happen. And you wonder, Man, how did that happen?
You mentioned this yesterday in the post game.
Injuries, you don't know who's going to be available.
Sure. You mentioned this yesterday in the post game. At some point in the third quarter or so, there wasn't enough possessions left for the Chiefs. At some point, you just run out of time. And once they got the 7-minute drive to start the third quarter and melted away half the quarter, no, they didn't score at the end of it. They didn't score. At that time, you look at there's not enough time for the Chiefs anymore.
Right. But, I mean, to hold Mahomes and crew to just 3 points and no touchdown.
Yeah.
I bet that number in Mahomes' mind hasn't ever happened to him probably since he was in middle school or grade school or something.
Well, we had people tell us yesterday it had never happened.
Yeah, I believe it.
To him, ever.
So that's great coaching. That's great execution. Great play. Man, it's a lot of guys, too. We can go down the list of all the guys that played really, really well. And, Byard, Long, the front four, Tannehill, the O-line. Protect. Tannehill didn't get sacked again, did he? Or no, he got one sack.
He got one
sack.
Literally, as the announcers were saying. Yeah. They're not getting any pressure on. The wham! He got hit as they were saying that on TV, watching the TV copy.
Coming along. Yeah. And then we saw sightings of Dylan Radins.
He played 22 plays, 2 guard spots.
Yeah, that was good. Nothing stood out that was horrible. I'm sure he needs to get better, but you saw signs of, okay, we can work with this. We can build on this.
Phone lines.
You saw Hart, your man, Hart.
Bobby Hart.
Bobby Hart
stepped in at tackle.
One of the Hart brothers.
He doesn't even know people's names. That dude just got there.
I did watch him, too. He did a solid job, too.
Dude.
Man, they doing a great job of picking some of these guys off the street. And
Maven played every play on
defense.
He
started.
He played
did
every
a heck
play.
of a job.
He played every play. Now, I know he was here for the offseason. He'd been around here.
No, in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then that dude just came back. He's like, hey, man, you going to start.
And then you had Chris Jones. I mean, man, there's a lot of guys stepped up. Hey, I like it. And then the other Farley, the veteran Farley at safety when Cruikshank was up there.
Farley.
Doesn't matter, guarding Kelsey, whether he was old or not. They never called it.
No, man, he rode him.
Yeah, he did.
He rode his
He did a great job. That
was crazy. Man. All right. Phone lines are ringing, 615-737-1045. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We got open lines. You want to talk about this? Also, always in the first hour on Monday, we do Ding Dong of the Week, so we'll share our Ding Dongs with you. You can do the same with us. Lonzo and William have already put their Ding Dongs in the Zone TV chat. You can do that. You can tweet us at Blaine and Mickey or just call because this is Monday. We want to get your reaction to another big Titans win right here on Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
If it happens on Rocky Top, it also happens here. Get the best Vols football coverage all week, and then listen to every game with Bob Kessling and Pat Ryan all season on your home for Vols football. 104.5 The Zone.
They said.
Oh, yeah, it was a wild crowd. It sounded great on the listening to Titans
was
radio. I know you were at the game,
Yeah, it was some empty seats.
Up at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that, they still pay for their tickets.
Man, if you paid for a ticket, didn't go to that game yesterday, you need to rethink things. I know emergencies and stuff come up, but that's why you buy the dang tickets.
It was a heck of a game. Wow. I had all three phases. That was pretty unique there, man. You think it was Vrabel's best game?
We put
as
that
head coach?
Our director of content, Blaine Bishop, came up with a question this morning for the Twitter.
Intern doing that.
The question on the Blaine and Mickey Twitter account was exactly these words.
Put that one out there.
Was Sunday's win over Kansas City the most complete game the Titans have played under Mike Vrabel? Right now, yes, 80.6%. No, 19.4%. Did have somebody say Pats or Ravens in the 2019 playoffs. That was respect my 40 on 20.
Also, we have a correction, too, on I know it was in the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs not scoring a touchdown.
They didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl last year.
Right. But we said, well, we're clarifying in the regular season is what we're referring to, but still, they didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
31-9. We had to go back and look because somebody texted me that yesterday and said Mahomes had never not scored a touchdown in the regular season, but oddly enough, they didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, and they didn't. We went back and looked.
This game reminded me a little bit of that. It really did. The way the front four played and got after him. He felt like he was running for his life. He felt like he had to do something special, and he was forcing the issue. And he looked normal. He looked like, a normal quarterback.
Like a human being.
Yeah.
Which he hasn't been for years.
Yeah. So that was great to see, man. And great to see, Bud Dupree out there running around and contributing.
Was.
Cause a sack, fumble. That's good, man. It's coming together. So just want to see if they can maintain it now and be consistent from here on out. They do that. It's a walk-off, but got to stay healthy and, people going to have to, along the way, continue to get better. Young guys that are contributing or guys who don't play normally. But I was impressed with the secondary, what they did. And then that freed up Byard to be Byard.
Mm-hmm.
See that? Yeah, he got to roam the field and be what he's great at, being a playmaker. And Cruikshank kind of fulfilling the role of, I got the tight end man-to-man, let's roll.
And he played heavy on him.
Mm-hmm.
Leaned on him. Held him some.
But and a lot of that comes from, I think his senior year he played safety, but the 3 years before that at Arizona he was a cornerback. See, so he's got some cover skills. Really good athlete. He just has to stay available.
Yeah, it's been his biggest problem since he got here.
Yeah, and he showed he's got some talent in there, man. He's pretty sharp. They had a great game plan too.
Yep, they did. Hey, we got a bunch of phone calls. We'll get to Ding Dong of the Week, courtesy of our friend Mark Spain in just a minute.
I have a laundry list.
A laundry list of ding dongs?
Yeah, about 3 of them.
Okay. Well, let's take a couple. People were on hold before we started the ding dong segment. Let's roll through something, man. We got a bunch of phone calls. 615-737-1045. Thomas in Cottontown up first. Hey, Thomas.
Oh.
Hey guys. Hey, I want to get both of you guys' opinion on this. I mean, besides the cliches of any given Sunday or football is mental or but besides all those, if we would have whooped the Jets the way that we were supposed to when the season started, we would have whooped the Jets. Would we have still beaten the Chiefs the way that we did, or am I overthinking that? And I can hop off and listen if you guys like me to.
Thomas, thank you. I think what he's saying is, did that kick them in the butt? Did that show them something? Maybe because they lost to the Jets, then they get PO'd for greatness, and then they want to go out and beat everybody because they didn't beat the Jets.
Well, you never like to make excuses, but they have their top two receivers out.
Yeah.
Jets have a really good quality defense, and they had some players out on defense in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that, they didn't convert in the red zone. They were down there 3 times in the first quarter. Remember I said you got to put a young team away or they'll start believing they can win. I think really that was it. And then they couldn't make plays at the end. You got to give credit to the Jets. I mean, winning and losing is really close in this league. Like, everybody wants to look at the Detroit Lions. They haven't won a game right this season. Man, they sure have lost some close ones. They just don't know how to close the game to win it. And that's a winning culture. So, I think everything is closer than it seems. I think that I think the Chiefs are having some serious issues. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. That's after watching them live. I would have never said that without watching them live, or versus the Titans. I just don't know if they're a playoff contending team. And the reason why I say that is also they're in there with the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers. And two of those teams are going to make the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be the Chiefs. They better turn it around really quick. And I don't see them doing that real quick, just based off of what I saw versus the Titans. And Titans, handed it to them, but they have O-line issues. And that is the anchor if you're building a team in today's world of throwing the football. I think they're in big time trouble. They better start running the football and having a balanced attack, or not, they're going to get Mahomes killed. And I know his name is Mahomes, but I call him Mahomes.
And you've said this about Andy Reid, and for people who don't know, Blaine played for Andy Reid in Philly. You said he just wants to throw the ball, and he looks at a 5-yard pass the same as a 5-yard run. But
they had to talk him into running the football more. And then once he started running the football more there in Philly, all of a sudden, everything just clicked.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Dorsey Levens, Westbrook, Staley, Buckholter. We had some dudes. Yeah. We always had dudes. So, I mean, and then once they start running, then the offense was smooth sailing. So maybe he'll start figuring out, because I think that line is more of a run blocking offensive line. So if you're throwing it every time, man, that's tough to do if that's not your strength.
Well, I remember the Super Bowl they won. Who was the guy? Damian Williams? Was that journeyman running back? Was that the guy? That dude ran for like 106 yards or something in the game.
They let him walk, yeah.
Yeah, and then he didn't play because of COVID. I don't even know if he's anywhere now, but he was pretty much the MVP of that game.
The Bears, but yeah.
I mean,
pretty much.
They ran the dang ball when they won the Super Bowl.
Have some balance. So, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because sometimes, getting beat by someone kind of wakes you up. Just like you're kind of hinting to. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But, man, you can get beat. Man, you don't play your best. I think a lot of it in my mind is because I felt like I always had to play my best every game and bring my A game. I wasn't that super-duper athlete guy that could go walk on the field and just show up and then like, oh, okay, if I bring my B game, I'm still going to be better than you. Well, I never thought that. So, this is the best of the best.
Sure is. Let's get James in Nashville up next. Hey, James, thank you for calling Blaine and Mickey.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy Monday to you. Tighten up.
All the way, yeah.
Sure.
Not trying to put a damper on the weekend, because that was a great weekend. Happy about it, of course. But the last time Derrick Henry ran the ball in the fourth quarter, got completely stuffed, not back for about 2 or 3 yards or whatever, came out the field, we just looked real unhappy. And even though we're winning the game, just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, why he was so upset. Or just because for the second time playing the Chiefs, the run is being not completely stopped, because he did get 86 yards and they did win. But, just seems like they have a real hard time running the ball like they normally do against other teams. So just want to get your thoughts on that. You guys have a wonderful Monday, and I'll listen out there.
Thank you, James. King was mad when he came off the field. That's because the King's a competitor. Right. Lose 4 yards at the end of the game. King wanted to keep ramming away at those dudes, and would have. They could have given him 40 times yesterday in a blowout win. But the smart thing to do is like, hey, man, come save some of those carries for January.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm just have a theory. I don't know if he was cognizant of where he was in yardage, because he had ran 5 games in a row over 100 yards.
Yes.
And he was at 90 before he lost the yardage. I think it was 4 yards, put him at 86 yards. I don't think he thought he was going to – well, he might have thought he was going to get 10 yards on his drive, and then he was going to close it out and make that number 6 in a row of 100-yard games. So I want to guess it was that, or that he got stuffed, period, in general, that he lost yardage. And as you meant, he's a competitor. They have these guys, they compete at everything to do. It's almost cancerous, and it's a good thing when you're playing sports, because that becomes everything about you. I mean, anything you're doing, even if you're playing your kids or something, it's like hard to turn it off. You can't turn it off. It's really uncanny, man. I had to work really hard when I finished playing to turn it off.
Wow.
Yeah. Like if I just want to go play a pickup game, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to go out here and compete. I'm going to just go out here to get some exercise, have a good time. All it takes is one guy to challenge you, and then all of a sudden it clicks right back on. Yeah, it's candy. And then next thing you know, I'm walking home with 3 swollen ankles, 3 of them.
Let's get Derek in Nashville. Eric, hold on. We'll get to you with your ding dong of the week. Let's get Derek. He's been holding a little bit longer. Hey, Derek.
Hey, guys. Been around since the beginning, Vanderbilt years, turned into an old man watching. I've always prided myself on knowing my team and who's out there playing. Obviously, was a little lost this Sunday. I wanted you guys to talk on who actually was out there, the performance they had. I know the O-line did. I mean, the defensive line did super good, but those guys had to have played well to shut Mahomes down. So speak on that a little bit and whether any of them are good enough to continue with the starting job and what it looks like when I know some aren't coming back, but the ones coming back, what's that look like in the secondary from here on out? Tighten up, guys. Talk to you soon.
Derek, those are good questions for sure.
Well, I could start with the secondary. I mean, Maben played, and I think he's, people understand it's just a, opportunity, right place, right time. A lot of guys could be in this league as a backup, but there's only so many roster spots. So I think I think he's a guy that could be on the roster, as well as Jones, another backup. Cruikshank was filling in for Hooker. We all know he was on the roster, but can he be a starter in this league potentially at some point? It doesn't even have to be here, but he can do it somewhere else. So he's getting to put together some really good tape. And still just a special team guy. Oladaney finally showed up again, like he just disappeared. Offensively, we had Radens.
Radens played 22 snaps combined at both guard spots.
Your guru Hart there, right?
Bobby freaking Hart.
That's his first name?
Freaking is his middle name. Bobby the Hitman Hart. That dude showed up this week.
Yeah.
And Kendall Lamb goes out. So once again, this said, here's everything you need to know about Radens. Kendall Lamb went out. Bobby Hart doesn't even know everybody's name on the team, and he went out there and played. Yeah. But Radens, then, he is a guard. So if Roger Saffold at the end of this year is like, guys, it's been a great ride. We were talking about this yesterday, and you were like, well, Radens is the next guard on the team. I mean, that's just what it shaped up for him, at least at this point in his career. But he played guard 22 snaps. Bobby Hart stepped in at tackle for Kendall Lamb, who had an ankle. But I saw him standing for the rest of the game. Maybe Kendall Lamb will be okay. And literally, Maben got here, started, and played every snap on defense.
He was on the roster in 2020 for some bit of a time.
Yep.
There. So he could easily implement because he knew the system.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was on the practice squad with the Cardinals. I mean, just think that guy, he's a pretty good quality. I mean, he is for sure a backup in this league. So, yeah, it was a lot of guys that stepped up. But ultimately, the guys in the trenches who we don't mention a lot on both sides of the ball are the guys that's winning the game.
Yeah. The front four, Brian Baldinger does these Baldies breakdowns, and he did one on the Titans front four yesterday. And,
did he?
Yep. And he was just showing them getting pressure on a particular play, and he said, Cruikshank is all over Kelsey. And he showed Mahomes, boom, 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 1, 2, 3 step drop. He wants to step and throw it to Kelsey, and Cruikshank was on him like a blanket.
Yeah, he was actually holding him.
Yes.
Right.
And so then as soon as he pivots or starts to look at his next read, because it was all, as soon as he pivots, some guy gets him from the front, and as soon as he turns, somebody gets him from the back, and then he just runs out of bounds. It was a play where he got 5 yards, or he ran for his life. And Baldinger basically said this was all day for him. Couldn't set his feet, couldn't get comfortable. The coverage was good. Yeah. So he talked about it, but
it goes into game plan and execution by the players.
He said Landry, Autry, Big Jeff, Bud Dupree. That's a good front. That's how it ended. That's a pretty good front. Yeah, get everybody healthy and rolling together. Hey, this time, and we'll roll through it. We'll give you our ding dong.
Any other guys that we mentioned that played that
normally don't play?
That's all I could think of off the top of my head.
I mean, just the offensive line shuffle with Bobby Hart and Dylan Radens coming in stands out. In the defensive backfield, Maben was kind of the guy because he started and played.
And then there was the other Farley.
Matthias Farley, who had never played defense, Mike Keith said, and on his first play, went out there and recovered the fumble.
You said that as though he never played defense.
Not here.
Though.
He'd done it for the Jets some.
Okay.
But he'd never played a defensive snap, apparently, for the Titans. He'd only played special teams.
That was preseason. Yeah,
yep. And then that dude recovered a fumble, and then he played pretty much the rest of the way. They were able to rest some starters late. Byard only played 54 snaps yesterday out of 72 on defense when the Chiefs are out stat grabbing at the end. Mm-hmm. So he got to get off his feet. Ding dong of the week. We do this every week. Mark Spain Real Estate, making it happen for us. And, we kind of keep things simple. They say go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. And we say don't be a ding dong. Use Mark Spain. Eric in Nashville wants to share a ding-dong with us. Eric, what's going on, man? Thanks for calling.
Hey, guys, my ding-dong of the day is this. It's all-encompassing around the Kansas City Chiefs, and here's what I mean by that from two perspectives. Number one, the people with the hot takes on the Kansas City Chiefs, and also two, Kansas City Chiefs drafting. And here's what I mean by that. The Kansas City Chiefs, there were people saying, they're going to get to the Super Bowl as long as Patrick Mahomes there every single year. There was even a couple people said they thought they were going to go undefeated this year. There was even people saying stuff like, Patrick Mahomes is going to wind up winning more Super Bowls than Tom Brady. He's going to have a greater career than Tom Brady. I said, come on, guys. I mean, this is too early. Just so those people could take that. He may get it turned around, guys. I'm not going to give up on him. He's still a great talent, but just need to wait on that. And what I mean by the Kansas City Chiefs drafting is ever since they drafted Patrick Mahomes, I found out this morning, guys. I didn't know this. Do you realize that the players that have been drafted since him they're either no longer with the team, which means they're either with other teams in the NFL, some of those players are no longer in the NFL, or those players that are still with the Chiefs haven't had the impact on the Chiefs that Mahomes has had. I mean, so that I kind of thought that was interesting. I heard that this morning. Who knows? They may get it together, but I tell you what, they still got a ways to go, and we'll see what happens. Y'all take care.
Eric, thank you, man.
Oh, I definitely didn't know that, but yeah, they struggle. I'm up to debate. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs. That's crazy for me to even just think that at this point. I would have never said that before the season, but they just don't. They don't look very good. And the Titans made them look really bad, but they're not supposed to make them shut down bad. I mean, no touchdown? Really? They're not. You don't protect your quarterback. You don't have your guys up front. You don't have no shot. I don't care who you are. We already know this guy has all kind of talent in the world. Most talent probably in the NFL, in the history of the game. I'm just talking about his talent.
Arm talent, and runs the ball. He's second leading runner on the team. And credit Shane Bowen for the plan they had.
Yep.
Credit Shane Bowen for the
players. Yeah. So you going to give a ding-dong, or we going to wait till we get back?
Let's hold our ding-dong until the next segment.
Just hold it to ding-dong until you go to the bathroom?
Everybody hold your ding-dong. When we come back, more ding-dong of the week. Also, Bam in Nashville is holding Bam. We will get to you. You can share a ding-dong with us in the Zone TV chat at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter. Just call the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, 615-737-1045.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Coming up tomorrow morning.
As we move on from Victory Monday, we begin to preview the Titans taking on the Colts.
And we might have our toughest weekly top 7, bottom 3 NFL rankings. How do the Titans measure up?
I'm not quite sure, Moan, but they are way up there. We'll also talk with Mike Tanier, Football Outsiders, and get his take on the Titans.
And we'll also talk Vols with Eric Kane of the Sports Animal and the Locked on Vols podcast.
And we'll revisit our awesome conversation with Titans safety Kevin Byard.
J. Mart and Ramon from 6 to 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Let's
a fan point of view because you want to still always continue to perform your best and never relax and think that you got it made
Right.
through the process. And that's always probably most of my, views are coming from, that, perspective as a former player. So that's my first one. And then, the second one is it's still some of the Vols fans who want, pat on the back for, playing really 3 quarters of really good football. And then the fourth quarter kind of broke down and don't be happy. And, we're going to get no. At the end of the day, it's about wins and losses. You lost. So be a, a good loser and say, hey, we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to get some depth. Need to get some more players. Hooker played. I'm shocked that he played, and then let alone played really solid. There was a mix-up on communication on that one interception. I thought that's what broke the back. Yeah. Then the deep ball before that, really that's 2 back-to-back scores pretty much when they scored. So that really killed them, and they ran out of gas. They just really ran out of gas. They don't have the depth and the rotation that Alabama, but you could see potentially where this team is going, and it's on a great track. So don't even go down that road. And then lastly, this one is for me because Lucas is going to rip me because I predicted that the Titans would lose in a close one to the Chiefs. Yes.
That was your shot.
Yeah, that was my shot. So I am definitely a ding-dong.
Ding-dong yourself?
Yeah, ding-dong myself.
Bam has been holding. Bam, hey, give us about 30 seconds before we hit this final break. What's going on, buddy?
Man, you know what? Blaine, you are actually a man of accountability because I sure was finna call you out on that, buddy.
Oh, nah. That's who I am, man. Some people, they're not accountable.
That was my ding dong of the week, buddy. But nah, man, look, it was amazing in the stadium yesterday. Like, man, I was at the Music City Miracle game. Well, I was a kid then, but man, look, the energy in that place felt like how it did that day. Blaine, of course, you remember how loud it was in that stadium that day.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy in the building was just like, it was unmatched, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to see the way the defense and the offense came together and stuff like that, that was one of them. Like, I had a show Saturday night, and the people from Kansas City were so rowdy. They like packed the place out. But to see them leave the stadium with their heads down, ain't nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
Bam, thank you for the call, Bam. The drummer checking
and
in.
And the way they just we just dominated them. I mean, there was no thought ever that you were going to lose a game.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
The whole game. I mean, once it started, he was like, man, I kept saying, can they keep this up? And they did.
They did.
That was impressive. Tip the cap to everybody involved, from organization, coaches, players. Wow, that was pretty awesome. Hey. And then I forgot to mention Kern too, man. He came back 2 really good punts there, so which is tough. He came off of COVID and an injury. So yeah.
My ding dong, real quick. Everybody just wants to say everything's over all the time. My ding dong will be fast here. Everybody who Jamar Chase isn't going to work, and that was a terrible draft pick, and people were mad they didn't.
He didn't have the stripes on the ball.
Right. He said he couldn't catch the ball, and he had a bad preseason, and everybody said they should have taken Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase, and now he's on like the greatest pace of a rookie. He's already got 750 yards or whatever it is receiving. Jamar Chase was a very good draft pick, and he was fantastic in college, and we all saw it, but he wasn't big enough or physical and whatever. Jamar Chase is just killing it now.
Did you see it was kind of circulating on Twitter yesterday that he was committed to Kansas for like 8 days?
Yeah.
What?
For literally 6 days at one point in his life, he was committed to Kansas.
Like January 2017.
Through for like a week in January, whatever, he was committed to Kansas.
And then he switched to LSU, or do we now know backstory? He switched to somebody else.
No,
was that his only offer?
It was somebody just put this information out there from like Rivals or 24/7.
Yeah, I read something that some of the Kansas assistant coaches had really good relationships with his high school at the time. It was probably pretty early on. But yeah, it's just a funny little nugget after he went off for 200+ yards yesterday.
Oh, was that because Les Miles was there?
No, this was pre-Les Miles at Kansas.
Oh, okay.
We'll have our crack research team get on that. Hour number 2 coming up next. Teresa Walker will join us in about 20 minutes on Blaine and Mickey.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel and voice of the Titans Mike Keith take your questions about yesterday's game on the Mike Vrabel Show. Tonight at 6 on 104.5 The Zone.
So this said about the defense last year. We, meaning Blaine Bishop, Kevin Dyson, myself, doing Titans pre and post game and then talking about it during the week. Boy, if these guys could get like 3 stops a game, they could win. There are very few teams they couldn't beat. Well, they got all of the stops yesterday. It was amazing. But the other thing we said was if they could get to like middle of the pack in scoring defense, because they were scoring 31 a game, if they could get to the middle of the pack, hey, man, they are officially in the middle of the pack. They're number 15 in scoring defense. They've reached. We have like music we can play, or can balloons come out of the ceiling or something, Lucas? 23.4 points per game is what they give up. They're scoring 27.6 right now. They actually hurt their scoring average yesterday. They only scored 27. Their average went down. They're 27.6 points per game. Thank you. 15th in scoring defense. The Tennessee Titans. We've talked about this a lot today as far as backups contributing. Greg Maben, that dude like drove his car into town, took a COVID test, and started and played every play on defense yesterday. Greg Maben, which somebody Jay on Twitter said Maben is the guy that brought COVID to us.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. He was the guy. Well, that was the rumor out there. I don't know if that was true or
Poor
not.
Greg Maben.
I mean.
So Greg Maben.
He never even played out a gamer at all. And then they cut him like literally probably within a 4-week span.
Like he was sick, and then he got on the practice squad, and then he was just gone.
Yeah.
So Greg Maben, not the most pleasant stay here, but Sunday was super pleasant. Maybe they don't trade for maybe Blaine, they don't trade for a DB now. Maybe they don't trade.
No. I think if they think they can get by against the Chiefs, and then Fulton will be back.
Yeah.
I think I would be okay too. That's why I said I wouldn't be pressed to get a big time corner. And maybe if you're only gonna give up a 5th, 6th round pick is what I said. That's what I would do at the time. I wouldn't be in a rush to see how it all played out. Now, if they would have lost in the fashion that we beat the Chiefs, then that would have been a different story. But I say, all right, we're gonna give up. I still would have been around the 5th, 6th round. I don't think you need an elite corner to play. You got to have some real good ones. If you got pass rush,
right?
Mm-hmm. The game is, kind of evolving and change. You must kind of figure out how to evolve and change with the style of, offenses and defense they're running now. So I think that's what I would do. Back in my day, I wouldn't have done that.
Greg Maben, every snap on defense. Dylan Radins played 22 snaps. He played both guard spots. Yesterday, his really first significant action. And Bobby Hart, another guy who was on a practice squad. He was I'd have to look through my notes from last week. He was on somebody will tell us. He was on a practice squad, was brought in, and literally was put on the roster and came in and played significant snaps yesterday. What'd you say, 42 snaps?
42.
That he played for Kendall Lamb, who started. And then this dude who just arrived in town played the rest of the way at left tackle.
That's crazy. I mean, then the old Patrick Mahomes, the 62.3% passer rated is pretty remarkable. Yeah.
Let's see.
The Chiefs are not the Chiefs anymore like they were the last 2 years.
Bobby Hart had been on the Bills practice squad and the Dolphins practice squad this year.
Oh, so the AFC East.
And then here's that rascal just out there contributing to a big win yesterday. Brian Tannehill got sacked one time. He's been sacked one time in the last 2 weeks. What have they done on defense, Blaine, against the top scoring offense in the NFL, Buffalo, and then the top scoring offense per drive, Kansas City? Kansas City came in averaging like 3.34 points per drive, which was number one. Only 2 teams average more than 3 points per drive. Kansas City, one of them. What have they done these last 2 weeks?
Well, absolutely 2 different totally things.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad. I hadn't even thought about it. But their win over the Bills was a different style of win than, in my mind. Granted, they played some zone, but they wanted Allen to methodically move down the field. They took a little more risk against the Chiefs once they got a little confidence in what was going on, playing some man-to-man as we saw. So as time went on. So I would say that. But ultimately, I think the players are just executing the game plan, and the front floors, fours playing out of this mind. They're playing to what they exactly thought is why they made changes. And they remember I kept saying that they said basically their moves are saying that it was the players and not actually the coaching. And that's coming to fruition right now that they were absolutely right. So that's really it. I think they're kind of figuring out what is their niche, what are their go-to as play callers on both sides of the ball with the talent that they have now. but trying to stick with most of the philosophy, 80-85% of what they want to do, and then implementing new things with different style of players. I mean, I even see Landry sometimes dropping even in the middle of the field. I never saw him do that very much the previous years. Kind of use him as though like he was Clowney last year. He was doing multiple things and, sometimes lining up in the A gap, sometimes rushing from the outside, some of the D-tackling, and sometimes just dropping in, and sometimes covering guys out of the backfield. So I think they're all kind of following their role. Guys are starting to get healthy. So if they continue to get healthy, I think you'll continue to see everything look better because it takes time to get that kind of chemistry and implement them all and realize how you want to use them.
People get really impatient, but they did have a new offensive coordinator, and they did have a new defensive coordinator. And like you said, maybe they're settling into what their identity is and what they do. But this is new coordinator on both sides of the ball. It's weeks. I mean, we just finished week 7.
I want to. Sometimes you don't want to look at them as new coordinators because they were within the organization, so they know how they like to run. They know how the offense and the defense was implemented. So I want to say it was new coordinators. Maybe we wouldn't just call them play callers because Shane Bowen was actually he was actually the DC last year supposedly.
Wink, wink.
Right. So I don't know. I never thought that he was ever calling the plays, but I have no clue. That's just my gut feeling. I felt like Vrabel was calling. I think he's trusting them to make the calls, and that's still not to say that he's implementing, saying, "Hey, let's blitz here, let's do this here, or let's run the ball here," and making those decisions. Let's put in a trick play here. What can you come up with? With the offense, with the special teams trick plays to Derrick Henry throwing the ball. So I still think he got his hands on it all, but I think the coordinators all kind of find their niche and get comfortable where they need to be and what's expected of them as play callers. So yeah, it's all come together. We hope that continues. I'm a big proponent on having real good consistency instead of just big plays all the time and then next thing they disappear.
Right.
Like, that's why I brought up a Daly, the pass rusher. Oh, well, where did he go? After the first game or two, he looked like he was going to be, oh, man, it's going to be a heavy control. Then he disappeared for like 5 games, and all of a sudden, then he reappeared. I want to see that guy every week being that kind of contributor. Why not? I didn't say come here and get a sack, but I'm talking about put pressure on the quarterback and understand your role and do it every day, every game consistently. No different I expect, as we've seen David Long play like this every single game.
His hair is
I want to
on
see
fire.
everybody else playing that way, and if they do that, which they all pulled it together this last game, can they do it every end? In the Bills game, if you can do this week in and week out, then you will be where you need to be, and that'd be raising that trophy. Because they have the talent. So, I mean, when I look at – that's why I kept saying, I don't know if the Chiefs' talent is as good as the Titans. I think the Titans just have a better talent. That's what it looked like. Look like varsity playing JV versus the offensive and defensive line for the Titans defensive line going against KC when they were pass rushing, man.
And this is the thing we kept hearing about was the pass rush and the coverage. What's them agreeing with each other, them meshing, like the pass rush matching. Everybody knowing their responsibility. I'm trying to think of the word that they use where the pass rush matches what the secondary is doing. And gosh. The Titans have talked about it. Bowen has mentioned it. Whatever the word is, I can't think now.
But it's just, everything coming together and working as one, really, as a unit.
Working as one.
He may gave it a term, but I've always said that. You're as a secondary player, you're only as good as your pass rush.
Yep.
This league, especially now, this league is built on the passing game and putting up points. You can't even touch the guy. I don't know how many times I watched, in the Titans' favor, by the way, I saw A.J. Brown push the DB right before the ball got there. And my wife's like, hey, that's pass interference. I said, nope, they never call that. Yeah. I said, but if that DB would have pushed him, that would have called pass interference.
100% flag comes out.
Right. See, that shows you where the rules are going. So then you have to get a pass rush so Tannehill can't throw a ball like that.
Yeah.
It's pitch and catch because he's doing it all night. He's doing it in his sleep. So, yeah, that's where the league is going. So, ultimately playing cornerback or covering in this day and age is the toughest thing you can do. And easier to play offense in skill position than defense.
Complimentary is what Big Vol Daddy says. Complimentary.
Complimentary.
Yeah, they were complimentary.
Well, complimentary within the schemes of offense and defense. We were talking about that yesterday within the offense.
All right, we'll keep this discussion going on the other side. Teresa Walker set to join us next, the Hall of Famer from the Associated Press to talk Titans on Blaine and Mickey.
Buck Rising loves him some Urban Meyer.
I think that almost daily we should have an Urban Meyer update. just so that we can find some comedy. Because this is an outright disaster.
The next time Herb steps in it, Buck will be waiting.
I'm begging you. I dare you.
The Buck Rising Show. Tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
That's very true. I said this yesterday in the pregame. I actually got Blaine to drop his microphone. He laughed so hard. But I walk around my neighborhood every morning, and I see these squirrels. Well, it's nut gathering season. So these squirrels are trying to get their nuts and get them all stored away. And I said the Titans offense needs to play like squirrels against the Chiefs. They got to get their nuts early and get them stored up in case they need them later in the game. Well, it turns out the winter never got cold. But my gosh, Teresa, 5 first-half possessions, 5 first-half scores.
It's tough to do much better than that, right? It would have been nice if they could have maybe capped off, with another touchdown off of the fumble instead of getting a field goal. And, if you want to nitpick, yes, they settle for 2 field goals. But considering the kicking woes of this team over the last couple seasons, the fact is Randy Bullock has kind of made that non-issue, and he went out there and made the field goals, including a 51-yarder and all extra points. So, yeah, that was an interesting performance. I said on a Kansas City radio station for pregame Sunday that, yes, I took the Titans to win this game. Can I say I pictured that in any fashion? No, I'll be honest. But this is an offense. We saw them do this last year, right? They were, second in yards or tied for second in yards per game, and they were 4th in the NFL in scoring. And now we're seeing them starting to get into a rhythm. These last 3 games in this winning streak, they are – they're scoring about 32.6 points a game, which is about where they were last year. So they're rounding into form, it seems. And, now the question will be, can they keep it up?
Well, I also did a Kansas City radio appearance, and they said, okay, before we go, what do you think happens? I said, I don't know, man. Maybe Titans 31-28. And those guys kept me on another 2 minutes to question me. How in the world do you think that could happen? Imagine if I'd said, hey, y'all are going to score about 3. Now just take that and move on.
Well, the funny thing is, let's be honest. They've seen 5 straight AFC West division championships.
Yes.
They've seen this team play for the trip to the Super Bowl the last 3 seasons. They're the 2-time defending AFC champs. Won the Super Bowl in Miami in last year. I was there. But this isn't that team. And when a team starts to have issues, it can be tough to see them. I mean, their expectation is that Patrick Mahomes will find a way to make plays, get the ball down the field. Tyreek Hill will go score a couple touchdowns, or Travis Kelce, and, they're going to get it done. But, 3 points, and they're kind of ignoring the fact that their defense is not that good. I mean, before this game, they were allowing 29.3 points a game. The Titans nearly matched that. So, they've got some issues over there that, Tyler Smith, I know Tennessee Vol fans are glad to see him starting in the NFL at right guard, but, the guy beside him at center is also a rookie. So, they've spent a lot of money on a lot of offensive weapons and some other pieces, but, the offensive line is not what it was as well. So, and as a result, Patrick Mahomes is, he's tied with Trevor Lawrence for the most turnovers in the NFL this season, and the Chiefs already have more turnovers now than they had all of last season. So they've got issues, and, the Titans, they've been working on their issues, and, part of their problem is they just needed to kind of get healthy, and they got a few pieces back this weekend that, even as they had others miss this game.
Well, we got one of the key pieces of Nashville media on with us now. That is the one and only Teresa Walker.
Well, Teresa, you just said what I've been thinking and been saying throughout the time we've been on the show. I was a little concerned that maybe the Chiefs aren't as good as advertised based off their history and not this season. Do you feel that way now after watching them, not taking away from the Titans, but the way they beat them, it just seems like they have a much more talented team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've got the pieces there. And, call me a skeptic. I look at their upcoming schedule. They've got games with the Packers in Dallas. They've got 2 with the Raiders. They've got another game with the Chargers, who've already beaten them this year. They're 1-4 in the AFC, and at the bottom of the AFC West, tied with the Broncos. It's really tough for me to look at that schedule and the way they've played. They've lost 2 of their last 3. I don't see them making the playoffs at this point. They're going to have to – now, when they lost to the Titans in 2019, they went on a run that got them to the AFC Championship game where they went on to win the Super Bowl. But that said, it just feels off a little bit. Patrick Mahomes, it felt like he was forcing some things yesterday. And, I don't care how talented you are, when you're doing that, And guess what? Teams in the NFL are starting to see the best ways to defend that. And, and Andy Reid said after the game, he's going to have to be better as a play caller, and they're going to have to do some different things. They're going to have to counterpunch. NFL teams have kind of figured out maybe how to defend them. Not everybody can do that, but if they can do that, then it's going to be up to the Chiefs to find a way out of this. But right now, color me a little pessimistic.
Well, with Teresa Walker, Hall of Fame Pro Football writer, I guess, Teresa, man, of all the games Vrabel has coached in his short time here, I guess you want to call it that, as a head coach, this may have been, in my mind, maybe the best game. Just kind of take us through and recall, do you think this was the best showing in a Titans game as Vrabel as the head coach?
Well, it's certainly up there, right? I mean, they've had wins in the regular season over the Patriots, the Eagles, and they've had some, the win against the Chiefs 2 years ago, but that was, they had to win that blocking a kick and making some last-second plays. Even the game against the Bills a week ago, they have a fourth down stop to help seal that win. But, from start to finish, they start the game off scoring 14 points in the first quarter, 27-0 lead at halftime. And then they get the defense puts a final, they literally knock Patrick Mahomes out of the game and then get a final turnover just when it looked like maybe the Chiefs would go score a garbage time touchdown. And even that they stopped. So, and then, as I mentioned, no issues with kickers. I mean, they've had some good games over these last 2-3 years, but, how many issues with maybe there's an extra point that's missed or field goal that's missed. That, when Kevin Byard says that he thinks it's the most complete game that they've played since he's been a Titan, it's tough to disagree with that right now.
Do you think this Tennessee Titan team through, I guess, 7 games, let's compare them to last season through 7 games, which team do you think is better? Can you recall?
Well, I'm going to say this team, Blaine. I mean, the defense is far and away better. I mean, they're, a year ago they were last in sacks in the NFL through 15 games, right? They went to Houston last in the NFL sacking the quarterback, and only, the Houston Texans, getting 4 there helped bump them up ahead of Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Right now, as of today, they've got 17 sacks. Harold Landry is second in the NFL with 7.5 sacks. He's 1.5 off his career high. And, they're 10th in the NFL in sacking the quarterback. An area that was, they were worst on third down defense a year ago. And, now they're 15th or so in the NFL. So, we knew what the offense could be, especially once they added Julio Jones. But to make the improvements on defense with all the changes in the offseason, with all the changes during the season, with injuries being what they have been, it's impressive to see that, this defense seems to be starting to find themselves, even as they've had so many injuries in the secondary. And, the return of Bud Dupree, he got his first sack yesterday. He seems to finally be getting a little bit better with each week away from his ACL injury. And Danico Autry, I mean, talk about a great find in free agency. And, it's fun to watch this defense. When you make changes, there's no guarantee that it's going to get better. Right now, this defense is better, and they are looking worlds better than they were a year ago.
Well, with Teresa Walker, Hall of Fame Pro Football writer.
It's interesting, Teresa, because the angle for us, just watching them clear out most of those guys on the defense and bring in new guys, and then finally elevate and let Shane Bowen be what they were saying that he was. Now he has no other responsibilities. But our takeaway from all that was they're saying it's not us, it's the players. If we get the right players, this thing will work. Well, this thing kind of seems to be trending that way, doesn't it?
It sure does, Mickey. And yes, remember, even earlier this season in September, there were still fans calling for Shane Bowen to be ousted, and it's like it's the NFL, it's the Jimmy and the Joes. And you have to have good players to compete because, that's the goal in the NFL is trying to get the best players and get as many as you can possibly pay under the salary cap. And that's what makes the draft so important and to get the cheaper players. But it is about having the right players. Jadeveon Clowney, he seems to be having a nice enough season in Cleveland this year, but, he didn't give them anything last year. Neither did Vic Beasley. Right. This time around, you've already got, in yesterday's game alone, Danico Autry and Bud Dupree, your 2 free agent signees, they had 3 sacks combined yesterday. So, those are it really is different players.
It's interesting. I always try to think of the MVP race as sort of like the NFL Heisman race, and I'm always trying to figure out in the case of Derrick Henry, what in the world could he actually do? So somebody's just scanning the box score yesterday, an MVP voter, and they go, the Chiefs got him. He only had 86 yards. Well, because they focus so much attention on him, everybody could do stuff around him. He gave everybody else opportunities. And even on, say, the King Cat play, Teresa, literally every other person on the field he could have thrown to was open because 11 guys were coming to tackle him. But he throws a touchdown. He had 2 really nice catches on screen plays. This dude is just special, and he proves it week after week.
Well, exactly. In 2019, as good as this year was then leading the NFL, the knock on him was, well, he doesn't catch passes. He's not a third down back. And while, no one's going to mistake him for Christian McCaffrey at his best. I mean, Jeremy McNichol is the guy that they've turned to very effectively on third downs, with screenplays. But he has shown that, we've seen him. If you've been out at practice or training camp the last couple of years, every time he's not involved in a drill, he's off catching balls. He's made himself a better receiver as a running back. And, when he gets the ball now, you're not, you can throw to him. And that makes him more effective as a running back. But yesterday, the Chiefs were, it's like the one guy we absolutely have to stop is Derrick Henry. And that allowed an awful lot of, opportunities in the passing game. And, Ryan Tannehill completing his first 11 passes took advantage of that. The best play, probably the 46-yarder to A.J. Brown.
Well, he's like a robot, a sophisticated robot who's now teaching himself more skills to dominate mankind. It's crazy to watch that. Teresa Walker, our guest right here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, I don't want to move on too quickly, but I have to, I'm thinking about the Colts, and I know a lot of people saying the AFC South is sewn up. I guess when you hear something like that, what is the first thing you think of? Because as a former player, I never think anything is sewn up until it's over. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Blaine, anyone who's watched no offense, the series with the Colts over, since the AFC South was founded in 2002, would know better. I mean, let's face it, forget that Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck have had, just dominated this franchise over the years. Quarterbacks who, you'd have to stop and think, wait, he was in the league, have wins over the Titans in this series. So, no, you can't take anything for granted. Now, the Titans have won up there the last couple of years. That's a good thing. But, the fact of the matter is these are the two teams that, both of these teams went to the playoffs last year. And the best way for the Colts to get right and make this suddenly be one game back in the division is to win on Sunday. So that's going to be the message from Frank Reich all week is like, you go beat these guys. We're in this. And our hopes of winning the AFC South. Remember in August, everybody was picking the Colts. It's like, oh, they've got Carson Wentz. They've got that defense. This is the team that's going to win the AFC South this year. Everybody's always looking for the new flavor of the month. Well, the Colts were that. And a win on Sunday gives them that chance, gives them that opportunity. And this is a chance for the Titans to show that, you know what, we are here to defend our title. We are going to try to win it again and, put some distance between them and the Colts.
No doubt about it. I'm looking at the schedules, and I'm seeing the Colts is a little bit tougher, the Titans schedule, just based off of teams' performances thus far. But, do you think this game against the Colts is going to have somewhat, from the Colts' point of view, a playoff flavor in that they have to win this game because this helps them gain 2 games, as you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier?
Oh, absolutely, Blaine. And they're coming off the win and that, forget downpour. I mean, this was just like somebody was pouring water over, from a bucket over the field the entire game last night. So they've got to be feeling real good. And, the guy who's behind Derrick Henry in rushing this year in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor. So, again, this is an opportunity for the Colts. And, this is a very, very big game for them. So if the Titans had any thought of, coasting a little bit, we just beat the Bills, we just beat the Chiefs, we're all that, the Colts are going to be more than happy to, yank them back down to earth and make this a divisional, it's been a rivalry for a long time. But this is a time where the Colts come in needing to win, and every time that they've needed a win, they usually find a way to pull something out and make the Titans' lives miserable.
We're on with the Hall of Famer, Teresa Walker, pro football writer.
T, it's interesting because, we always talk about Derrick Henry after games. We're talking about these, highly paid pass rushers and everything else. And two of the heroes yesterday were Greg Maben, who had been here and then was gone and was on a practice squad, and Bobby Hart, who literally probably doesn't know everybody's name on the team yet. Maben played every snap on defense, and Bobby Hart played like 42 snaps on offense. Heck, even Dylan Radins played 22 snaps at 2 guard spots. There were a bunch of unsung heroes, too.
Oh, completely. And, Dylan Radins, he got 22 snaps yesterday. I mean, we've all been wondering, there's been opportunities. I mean, Bobby Hart was the third left tackle, to play yesterday. Yes. Well, third behind Taylor Lewan, Kendall Lamb, and then him. With Taylor Lewan out, they needed somebody. You would have hoped that maybe Radins would be up to that. But he did play at both guard spots yesterday. So it's going to be very, interesting to see how much more he can come up to speed. But, that whole mentality of next guy up, next man up, it's only, we've seen that in years. I'm remembering under Ken Wisenhunt, they went through 7 left tackles one year because of injuries. And sometimes that next man up is not good and can't do the job. And this year the Titans are finding guys to come in and do that and be that guy. So that's the impressive part. I mean, think about it. To get somebody up to speed, so that they can get into the game, 5 days? Bobby Hart was signed on Wednesday, and he plays 42 snaps on Sunday. That's just, give credit to the offensive line room, to, Keith Carter, for getting these guys, and in the secondary room, for getting guys like, Greg Maben up to speed so that they can contribute. But in the end, it's the guy who has to go out there and make plays.
Teresa, you always make plays. We love having you on. Thank you for the time today. I'm really, honestly, just a cheap promo here for your social media accounts. I'm excited that it's NBA season again because when you go to Memphis, I just like the pictures of the food that you eat.
Well, I will be bringing some more of those. And right now, guys, John Morant is second in the NBA in scoring through 3 games for the Grizzlies. So he is they've been predicting in Memphis that he will be an all-star this year. Right now, he's putting together an all-NBA team performance to start this season. So it is fun to watch. If you like basketball, I don't care if you didn't go to Murray State, you might want to check out the Grizzlies.
Teresa, thank you. At Teresa M. Walker, that's where people can follow you, and they need to do that if they don't. Always great talking to you.
Thanks, Miss T.
Thank you, Blaine and Mickey.
Yes, ma'am. The Hall of Famer, Teresa Walker. When we come back, Lucas, do we have this audio from the crazy LSU postgame show? Okay, you're going to hear this. You might as well hear it first. Things are going bad at LSU, really bad. We have some proof of that next. We'll be right back.
Ding.
Get the Saints and Seahawks tonight at 7 on Nashville's home for Monday Night Football. 104.5 The Zone.
So If you're a Vol fan, it's funny.
There's a lot of
You,
Bama fans
you
here
mentioned
now.
this in your Ding Dong of the Week segment. I've talked to more Vols fans today. I went, had to run a couple errands, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, man, what'd you think about the Vols on Saturday night?" I said, "They sure made it interesting for like 3 quarters and change, even in the fourth quarter." And the guy said, "I'm so proud of them. I feel so encouraged." There's a lot of people who are encouraged, and oftentimes after a 28-point loss, people wouldn't be that encouraged. People are genuinely encouraged about this team, about Josh Heupel.
To that point, though, they should be encouraged because it looked like that they had a shot.
Sure
I mean,
did.
a couple big plays, one down the middle of the field there in cover 2, and they had Beasley matched up against their speedy receiver, the transfer from Ohio State, Williams. And then they threw the interception that led to another touchdown. Boom, boom, boom. It's over. That was it. And the next thing you know, it was off. So the game was a lot closer than the score indicated. But, I'm not into moral victories or anything like that. But you can see where the program is going, and they're on the right track. They got to get some depth. Alabama was rotating guys in and out. UT had guys already banged up, and then they really didn't have a big-time rotation. At the slot they did. Other than that, I think they just ran out of gas. They continue to recruit, get some players and develop them. I think they'll be right there. We're probably – a couple years down the road. So, yeah, I think the team is probably exactly where I thought they would be at this point. Just wish they could have kept it a little close. I mean, man, that fourth quarter was just like, whoa, it was over. Like, man, it hit hard, too. It was fast. But you should be encouraged, though. And then they had no running game. They could not run the ball.
No.
And we all know, remember, I said this team is supposed to be a 50-50. Everybody thought it was all passing. Was 50-50. They had no impact in the running game. They couldn't block them. Those stud D linemen that they have there at Bama they were pretty much unstoppable. They weren't going to let them run, put it that way. So that made it a one-sided game, and they still were in it. A couple, maybe the 4th and 1 call, I might have went for it. Instead, he took the penalty and moved back.
Right.
Might have went for that one. What do you got to lose? I mean, at this point in time. They need to get some calls their way. They didn't go their way. I thought they botched some calls, but, they always say, Bama got the referees in their pocket. That's what I hear. I have no idea, but I just felt like, when things aren't going good, then Bama got the call, at home.
It seems like it's always been that way. And Bama's a great team. I'm not taking anything away from
It
them.
looked great, by the way. I think it was a miscommunication on the interception, but he looked pretty good.
Well, and
I like him.
And Bama's QB used his legs and ran on him. Now he used his arm too, because that's what they do.
I think you watched that Matt Corral. That's what he was running more than I ever saw.
He ran.
They had him out of rhythm.
Yeah.
They did.
They did.
Yeah. I think. Bill O'Brien, the guy O'Brien must be calling those plays. That's kind of how it looked, man. And Nick Saban lost his gasket on a couple calls.
He did.
On those delay of game calls, he was on point because it was like after timeouts or after a commercial break, and then they would get delay a game. He was like, "What
are we doing here?"
Right, punch the clock up, man. What's going on here? He was, oh my gosh, he was rare form.
Meanwhile, things in other SEC cities maybe not going so well. LSU dropped to 4-4. They just got destroyed by Ole Miss, 31-17. And after the game, just like Blaine and Kevin Dyson and I do a post-game show, apparently there's one at LSU, and it's just a little snippet of how bad things got. They are coming unraveled down there.
You said they're not as good a shape. Why is that?
Because the strength and conditioning coach is doing a lousy job.
All right. Yes.
Jesus H. Christ, man.
2 bits, 4 bits.
Find a whole damn bunch of them. You got 4 games left to go. Jesus
I love you.
man.
Love you, Hattie. Yeah.
Bound and determined to give me a
Damn
damn heart
right.
attack. Why don't you just get a group of student assistants
Damn
to go
right,
coach
Joey.
the next
I
4
love
games?
you.
Because
I love you. I love
then
you.
it'll be better.
You want Nate here. Nate, Bill, I love you. Hanny, he can't come from Lafayette to
Speaking
Baton
of
Rouge.
English, I'm not pushing Napier.
Napier. What the heck was that?
Hanny,
Your problem is you don't listen.
I know what your
Your problem is you don't listen.
No, you're what we do?
You say 12
I'm gonna
times
look
a
you
show,
into my
Charlie,
finger.
I got to
I'm
ask
gonna
you a
stick it
question,
in
and
your
you
ear.
don't answer. You don't listen to my answer.
I'm going to put your drawers in the crack
Don't
of your ass.
listen. You don't listen.
You said you'd be okay with it.
Yes.
Okay.
They're at each other's throats.
That was on live on air?
That was on air. And that was the initial tweet that Mickey had sent me was deleted, and then that was put back. I think that's the producer, the guy who tweeted that out. The initial tweet had a snippet in the middle there of a caller like MFing the hosts for something. It was so funny.
It
was
went out over
so
the air.
funny.
They had to bleep it.
Yeah.
In the clip, it got
In
out.
the clip, it was bleeped, but it was on the air.
It had gone out over the air.
So this is what station is this for LSU?
This is our friends at 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN.
Not 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah.
Oh my, that was hilarious.
Man, here's what I always say. When people are like, that coach will never get another. People will do anything to win. They are so intoxicated by winning. And here's two dudes who have no skin in the game. It's just two radio guys.
They do. They in their minds. They do.
This is their whole world.
Yeah.
In these small towns, people get so intoxicated by winning. And they're fighting over Billy Napier, who's the coach at what I refer to as Ooh La La, the University of Louisiana Lafayette, big rival for Arkansas State. That's the job that he supposedly has always wanted. He's turned down all kinds of jobs.
Yes.
And these are two dudes yelling, he can't go from ULL to LSU.
Both of them was on the same side. I couldn't even hardly hear. They both were saying that they shouldn't hire him.
No, one guy was accusing the other guy of wanting to hire him and telling it wasn't possible.
Oh.
These dudes.
Man. That